Okay, so the whole world is like being taken by storm because ChatGPT just released their new app store. And cool. Is it just hype? Like custom GPTs were a thing and that was a flop. I don't know if this is just hype. I think it's a cool idea. I think Claude Desktop, with MCPs and you're able to kind of build your own MCP servers and kind of plug and play. It was kind of already doing that. We were playing with this back earlier in the year. Now you can kind of just go into ChatGPT and just say, Canva, make me this pitch deck, and it'll go off and do it. It's connected to your Canva, and that's like super dope. I'm not convinced that this is the interface people want to move to. I'm not convinced that conversational AI is the most user-friendly, user experience type of way that people want to navigate to. I could be wrong, but I think this is a really cool idea. There's 800 million daily active users on ChatGPT, so why would you not want to publish your app on ChatGPT? I think that's really cool. I think it's a great way to get exposure, a great way to monetize, a great way to get market validation really quickly. I have mixed thoughts. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I don't know if it solves a problem. Let's get into it. Let's dive into what they released on Dev Day with this ChatGPT App Store, and let's play around with it, see what they got. All right, so last week they introduced the ChatGPT App Store with a new apps SDK, which is pretty cool. This apps SDK is probably really cool. It's probably built on top of the MCP. Let's see what they got. Today we're introducing a new generation of apps that can chat right inside ChatGPT. Developers can start building with them with the new apps SDK. Today in certain areas, and they have their pilot program with Booking.com, Canva, Coursera, and all these other ones. Sweet. Developers can start building and testing apps today with the new apps SDK preview. So that's going to be a lot of fun diving into, and which they're releasing as an open standard built on top of the MCP protocol. Cool, just like we thought. So to start building, visit our documentation and guidelines. So we'll take a look at the documentation in a sec. Later this year, they'll begin submitting or accepting app submissions for review, and we'll share more details on how developers can monetize their apps. Sweet. So cool. I think it's a cool idea. How to use apps in ChatGPT. So we'll dive into that right now. It just says all you really have to do is say the name of the app and then ask it what you want to do. So let's do that. Okay. So if I say Canva and it uses Canva, sweet. So Canva, create me a thumbnail for a futuristic AI YouTube video. Okay, cool. So it's got a few thumbnail ideas. So if I click on one, it opens this up in Canva, like this Canva, I guess, like environment. And then I can open it directly in my Canva account. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That's really cool that they're kind of tied in together. So we don't need multiple tabs open. We can just ask the AI to do certain things. Here's my concern. I don't know if we're really ready as a society to start allowing AI to write to certain things, right? Like to send out emails on our behalf, to really just like touch sensitive data. Like if I wanted to, I don't know, delete a post that I made on a certain blog, like I don't want it to accidentally delete my account. So there's obviously going to be the confirmation stuff that the AI should prompt you with and all that fun stuff. But even the nature of one interface to connect to multiple apps, I like it. I don't like it. I don't know if it's this conversational type of way I'm just chatting with AI or if I'm speaking to it. I don't really know what that looks like. I think the idea is really cool. I think like Claude's been doing this, and so ChatGPT is now you're able to build apps, and there should be like one type of ecosystem where you can plug and play your apps and it connects to it, and that's awesome. Not sold. I'm not sold yet. Okay, let's go into this documentation and see what's what. Apps SDK, our framework to build apps for ChatGPT. So they got design guidelines and then developer guidelines. Cool. So get started. They have this plan, build, deploy use case. So learn how to deploy your MCP server, which is really all this is. It's just an MCP server. But maybe I'm wrong. Okay, research use cases. Identify, prioritize apps SDK use cases. Why we start with use cases. Every successful apps SDK app starts with a crisp understanding of what the user is trying to accomplish. Gather inputs, user interviews, support requests, prompt sampling, system constraints. Define evaluation prompts. Scope the minimum lovable feature. That's awesome. I've never heard of that. Translate use cases into tooling, so inputs and outputs. Yeah, we've seen this. Prepare for iteration. We've seen all this. This is not new. Set up your server. And then, of course, it's built on top of this, our Model Context Protocol SDK, which is Anthropic's thing. Describe your tools. All right, so point to a component template. In addition to returning structured data, each tool on your MCP server should also reference an HTML UI template in its descriptor. Register the template. So we're registering the template with this. So we create a whole HTML thing. Link the tool to the template. So now this is how we're linking it using this meta fields, and then version carefully. Cool. Within the template, ChatGPT hydrates the iframe. Cool. Hydrate is just a fancy way of saying I loaded in. Import MCP server. Okay, so cool. So we've seen all of this. This is all not new. This is new. No, I mean, this is just creating the UI. This is new. Contents. Okay, cool. So this is the contents of the UI. And then, okay, so the resource is essentially the UI. And then the tool is like, hey, here's what I'm requesting. The input schema, which is just tasks. And then here's the content, or basically the output. Display the Kanban board, which is a text. And then there's some structured content. So this stuff is kind of new. Okay, cool. Structure the data your tool returns. All right. So load Kanban board. So this is just mock data, and then it's going to return these columns, and it's going to return them as like a map type of thing. Okay, so now we're going to register it, and then it's going to return the structured contents like this. And then now that we have it, so now that you have your MCP server scaffold set up, follow the instructions to build a custom UX page to build your component experience. Build your component bundle, start the MCP server, point the MCP inspector. Okay, cool. Expose a public endpoint. ChatGPT requires HTTPS during development. You can use tunneling such as ngrok, layer in authentication, storage. Okay. Cool. Fuck it. Let's build one. Let's build one. Okay, so I think the easiest app that we can build is probably like a weather API thing. So I can just go into ChatGPT, ask it what the weather is, and then it can pull it in, and then away you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to use cases. People need to know the weather, so let's just start with that. Set up your server. So what we're going to do is I'm literally going to take this link. I know I need to download this or install this. So we're going to say, we're going to go here, we're going to open this up. npm install the model context protocol SDK. Cool. And then essentially I'm just going to take all of this. So if I go into, so let's create a new file. Let's just call it index.js. Paste that in. So this is going to be a weather app. Okay, and then we're going to say, yep, weather widget. And then weather. Where is it getting this Kanban CSS from? Oh, right there. Oh, which comes from the Kanban.css. Okay, cool. So we have, let's go into here. We're going to say weather, and then we're going to say weather.css. We're going to say weather.html and weather.js. Cool. The quickest way is probably taking this link. We're going to paste it here, and we're going to say create me a weather app following OpenAI's new ChatGPT App SDK module. See, it's saying that it's got this app SDK, but where is it? Getting all the zoo animals. Okay. So create me a weather app following OpenAI's new ChatGPT app SDK module, whatever. Now what I'm going to say is hook into the weather API open source API. Create the HTML, which is the UI for me, and the CSS. Create a complete weather app following OpenAI ChatGPT's app SDK pattern. I'll build an MCP server that connects to the Open Weather Map API and create a beautiful UI component. Perfect. So let's do that, and then we got to set this up. So run locally. So build your component. Now that you have the MCP server scaffolding set up, follow the instructions on the build a custom UX page. So let's see what this does. So we need to define the window.openai, which is the bridge between front end and ChatGPT. So this is quick dive into the component scaffolding. Register the tool, we registered the resource. Okay, so it's done. And now we are just going to, so I'll keep all. And no, let's go back to the index. Let's actually get this rocking and rolling on ChatGPT. So once you're working MCP server and component bundles, host them behind a stable HTTPS endpoint. So during development, you can expose your local server to ChatGPT. So let's do that. Well, let's first run this and then build. There's no build script. How do you build this? Can we build this? Oh, I guess we don't need to because it's JavaScript. That's my bad. All right, so we'll go ngrok HTTP 2091. Start your MCP server. So keep the tunnel running. Refresh the connector in ChatGPT settings to pull the latest metadata. Regardless of the platform, make sure MCP stays responsive. Okay, so we gotta set it up first. So all of this is done. So build your component bundle. Start the MCP server and point the MCP inspector to that. So build a custom UX page. Start the MCP server. So if I just run this, and then I just say like npm start. So it's running. Point the MCP inspector. So first we got to install it. Okay, so let's install it. Okay, so I connected to the MCP inspector. I followed the instructions. I went to tools. I tried to list tools and it's breaking. So let's see what's going on. Oh man, okay, this is just not working. So let's stop that. Let's stop this. Let's rerun it. Let's connect. All right, let's check this MCP inspector. I ran the command. It's just going to run this node index.js. I'm going to run it. We are connected. We can list the resources, which is this weather widget, which we have made. And then we have tools. And if I list these tools, we're going to call get current weather or get weather. Get the current weather conditions and forecast for any US city. Okay, awesome. So it's working. Now let's go back here. How do I actually run it? Test it. Authentication for your account is limited to one simultaneous. Oh, because I already have one. 6274. Oh baby. Okay. So now we have it. So it's forwarding. Use the resulting URL and creating a connector in development mode for production. Deploy to HTTPS endpoint with low cold start latency. Okay, so now we're going to check it. So if I go, sweet. So that forwarding is working. Truthfully, I just want to know how to use it now. All right, so we're gonna log into ChatGPT. So settings, apps and connectors, advanced settings, developer mode. Sweet, allows you to add unverified connectors. That's what we want. We got developer mode set. Now let's see if it can recognize our MCP server or our app. Okay, cool. So let's say tell me the weather for Seattle today. Okay, so where did I pull this though? I don't know if I pulled it from what we did. How would I know? There, toggle it on in a new conversation and run through the golden prompt set. Direct, indirect, negative. Recorded when the model selects the right tool, when what argument is passed, and whether confirmation prompts appear expected. Okay. How would I know if it worked? More actions. How would I toggle it on? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run this. And this is being listened on 6277. We're going to run this as 6277. And then we're going to take this URL, go into your settings, you go to your apps and connectors, and then you make sure you press developer mode, which we did, and then we press create, and then we're just going to say this is a weather app tool, and then we will put the MCP server URL. There is no authentication. I trust this application, and I will create it. Let this create for a sec. 404 not found. For more information. So essentially we had to turn all of this into actually being able to be used as an MCP server. So we need to create a public endpoint and then basically host it as /MCP, which we did. And so if I clear this and then I just run it, we see that it's running on localhost 3000 MCP. We have our ngrok pointed to localhost 3000. And so I can go here. I can call this tool the weather app. And then the MCP server, I can paste it at /MCP. And then there is no authentication. I can trust it and then I can create it. And then let it kind of do its thing for a second here. And then we have the weather app and it is now connected. So we can see that, and it has this get weather with this weather HTML UI. So perfect. So I can close this and I can now say, use the get weather tool to get me the current weather of LA, California. So it's still searching the web. Let's use the weather app now. Cool. Now, get me the weather of Toronto, Ontario. Oh, so this is what we did. Weather app wants to perform an action, confirm or deny. We have a 400 bad request. This gave us a 400 error. Let me add a root path. Okay, sweet. So let's try this again. So we're going to keep all of this. We are going to run this again. It is the current weather of Paris, France. Okay, cool. Get me the current weather for Orlando, Florida. So we know it's using the tool. Let's see. Still doing that. We had a small little issue where the UI was rendering before the data was loaded. So we just awaited that. Now I can use the weather MCP server that we created, and I can just ask it, what is the weather in, I don't know, Seattle, Washington. And so it's going to look for our tool. It's going to fetch data from what we have. We're going to confirm that. We're going to let this load. There we go. So right now it is 42 degrees.
And then it gives us the 5-day forecast. So there you have it. We have built a small web app. We have built a small app that ties right into ChatGPT that we can then call on using the power of MCP servers and displaying a UI, which is all kind of built over here in the weather. I'll call it the little weather app. And so we have all our HTML, which is essentially all of this. Then we have our CSS, which is just our styling for that HTML, and then our JavaScript, which is basically waiting for the weather data. And then, yep, we initialize the widget, we initialize the weather widget, and then we're just kind of setting the text. So when we populate the current weather from the data that comes in from the OpenAI tool output that goes in, we set the text in every single field, and then we populate it, and it shows up like this.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one. The ChatGPT App Store, I don't know. We'll see what comes out of it, but it's pretty cool how we're able to kind of spin up our own app pretty quickly. Let me know if you guys like more of this style or more of like the vloggy style or a little bit of both. I love doing the vlogs. I also love doing this. So I'm trying to kind of figure out how I want to tailor these videos, but thank you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next one.